Good day, folks. Everything new under the sun. The Red Heifer. It's time for a Red Heifer and Third Temple update as we look for the soon return of the Lord. We know that hard times are going to come, and we know that prior to his return, the Antichrist is going to cause sacrifices to cease. And that effectively means that sacrifices will have started in the Third Temple. Now, to purify the Third Temple, the implements, the priests, etc., you need the ashes of the red heifer, and that's what you're looking at there, a red heifer, which is on the templeinstitute.org page. And did you know that the red heifers are the cause of the current situation in Gaza? That's right. This is virtualjerusalem.com. This is January 26, 2024. Hamas cites red heifers import to Israel are the cause of war. Are red-hided cows the IDF's secret weapon and an existential threat to Islam? Hamas's military spokesman came out and basically said that the arrival of these red heifers are the trigger for war. So interesting. Why do they hate the red heifers so much? Well, what they believe is that the red heifers will trigger the Sanhedrin and the Temple Institute to rebuild the Third Temple, and they think that will take down, Islam's third holiest site, Al-Aqsa Mosque, and the Temple Mount there, and that the Jews will take that over and build the Third Temple and destroy the mosque, whatever it will be, and the Dome of the Rock, and otherwise change it, right? So that was the cause of that. Now, just for reference, the current Jewish year is 5784. I'm going to look at an article which references that 5783, but know that the current year, as recognized by the Jews, is 5784. We're going to take a look at that. Now, also note that Passover happens April 22nd, 2024 this year. And Shavuot is June 12th, 2024. So keep all those dates in mind. There's a date range there between Passover and Shavuot, where there's a high watch period that is coming into focus. So let's take a look at this here. Let's see if I can find, here it is here. So this is cogwriter.com, Church of God News. And it says, in September 2022, 5 red heifer candidates arrived in Israel. One was disqualified as acceptable for sacrificial use last year, so down to 4, as of the writing of this, which apparently was February 2nd there, 2024. According to the Temple Institute, which that's what the page was, that is this page here. This is the templeinstitute.org. You can see the atop there. According to Temple Institute, the fate of the world depends on the sacrificing of an unblemished red heifer. This is apparently what Hamas believes as well, because that was the impetus for October 7th invasion of and slaughter in Israel. Some believe that the sacrifice of the red heifer could happen in 2024, and even somewhere around Passover 2024 in preparation for the Temple Mount. Now, a lot of things have to happen here. An Antichrist needs to rise to power. The world needs to go basically into effectively World War III, at least as far as I understand and believe. So there's a few things that need to happen, but it is still a high watch period. It says, Jews have interpreted this to mean that another red heifer needs to be sacrificed for sacrifices to be resumed. So the Bible indicates, again, that the Antichrist will come. He will cause the sacrifices to cease. That means the sacrifices must have been started. And again, the Jews believe that means that, well, sacrifices must start again in the Third Temple specifically. And then, for that, you need the red heifer. It goes on, why is the red heifer important? In the modern day, all Jews, including the Kohanim, are assumed to be impure, with the impurity imparted by a corpse. While in everyday life, in modern day, this status does not have much of a practical effect, those impure with this type of impurity are prohibited from entering the temple. So they need to be pure, and the ashes of the red heifer allow them to ritually purify, the vessels, the implements, and the Kohanim. so that they can initiate these sacrifices. Basically, they can't start sacrifices until there's a third temple. They can't build a third temple and perform the sacrifices until there's a sacrifice of this red heifer, and the ashes of which are used to then clean it. So you can see kind of you step backwards in time of the requirements here. So, of course, the article says Christians do not need any heifer, but a red heifer. But certain Jews who reject Jesus' sacrifice think they do. A red heifer is not a biblical requirement for Christians, and since Christ came, it is not one for Jews either. Yet, because the Jews reject Jesus, true, some believe that having a red heifer is a biblical requirement. Now, we, Bible scholars, Bible prophecy scholars, and buffs, and those interested in that, like myself, believe that indeed this will come, not that it has to come, because the Jews need Jesus Christ, but that they believe that they need this to come, so they will bring this, and it will come to pass. And it's predicted by the Bible that suggests that the sacrifices are going to stop. And so if the Jews are following their law, that means this has to precede the building of the temple and the sacrifices. Maybe not the building of the temple. The temple could be built, but sacrifices wouldn't be able to be held until the red heifer ashes were produced. On the other hand, it says, let me state, the writer says, that some state with Protestantism believe the Sanhedrin, with connection to the Temple Institute, is bringing the Antichrist through its sacrifices and a desire for a third temple. While that is not quite the case, it is true that the resumption of daily sacrifices is prophesied to be stopped by the coming beast, who is in league with the final Antichrist. So, following scriptures, this is Daniel 9:27. Then he shall confirm a covenant with the many for 1 week. This is the 7-year period that the Bible speaks of. But in the middle of the week, 3.5 years, he shall bring an end to sacrifice and offering. So that sacrifice there cannot start until the ashes of the red heifer exist and ritually purify, cleanse the implements and the Kohanim, the priests. It says, so after a deal is made, 3.5 years later, sacrifices will be stopped. By who, it says? Well, he above was called a prince in Daniel 9:26, and will become the king of the north, beast leader, as discussed in Daniel chapter 11. So we see the sacrifices will be stopped. Let me scroll there. It says we will see the sacrifices will be stopped. Hence, they must start, obviously. And this is something that the Temple Institute and Sanhedrin are working towards. Okay. If the Jews will not resume regular animal sacrifice until the red heifer, then looking out for one would seem to be a sign that ties in the end time Bible prophecy. Again, because you had this preceding requirement of the temple sacrifices of this red heifer, well, then you step back from that earlier in time, and you would have to say, well, they're going to be looking for a red heifer because they haven't kept red heifers for a long time. Sure enough, they've been working towards it, and even farmers in the U.S. Have been working towards raising these animals. If they're Christians, don't ask me why, but they're doing this anyways. It says, as far as timing goes, the Bible shows that the stopping of the animal sacrifices occurred just prior to the start of the Great Tribulation. That means we're very close. If these red heifers that are currently in Israel are the ones, and they are 100% red-haired red heifers, they will be suitable for sacrifice, and they are coming of age now. There's only a short time range. I think it's 3 years to 3.5 years. Don't quote me on that. Maybe it's 2.5 years. I'd have to go look at it, but they're coming within that time range where they're a certain age, and beyond which they can't be used as red heifers for this ritual purification anymore. So then they have to go look for new red heifers to raise, and hopefully, in 2 or 3 years' time, once they've grown of age, they can be used. So there's a short window here where the Jews can make use of effectively. We will see if the Jews actually decide to actually sacrifice their red heifer in 2024. This is where the timeline comes up. If so, it could set off a major sequence of prophetic events, and ultimately with the Jesus returning and establishing the millennial kingdom, but not after 3.5 years of the Antichrist ruling and reigning and making life very difficult for any Christians who are alive during that time. they go on to state some years here. So the red heifers arrived in Israel. Let me scroll up there. September 25th, 2022. And they say it's going to, it might encourage the Sanhedrin to implement regular sacrifices again. So that's interesting. But let's go over to this here. Where is it here? So this is CBN.com, and the article is again about the red heifers. This is from 2023, but the details of it are interesting. Prophetic anticipation builds unblemished red heifers for temple ceremony soon come of age. This is last year, 2023, March 17th, 2023. There you can see, where's the date? There you can see the date on the bottom left-hand corner. All right, so they're talking about the red heifers. They're in place. This is from last year. And there's a time range here, and this is what I want to key in on. Byron Stinson from Bonai, Israel, helped find the red heifers in the United States. And he says, so we believe that it's very likely that the ceremony would happen somewhere in the area of Passover 2024. When's Passover 2024? Here it is. April 22nd, 2024. So Passover and out to a possibility of Shavuot 2024. Shavuot, if you Google it, June 12th. So April, May, June, and you have, 2 months in between, a little less than 2 months total in that time span between May, June, April, May, and June there for that date range. So this is a prophetic high watch period. And what month are we in now? Well, we're near the end of February here, going into March. And boy, time is short, isn't it? So I think that's a very interesting thing. It says, so that's what Stinson said, between Passover and Shavuot. Sometime in that timeline, the cows would be old enough, and it would be a proper timeline for the ceremony. So it's very tight timeline. They're going to be old enough. They can't be too old. They have to get the sacrifice done and the ashes and the purification done before this can all be set up. And it has to happen within this time range. So is it going to happen this year? I don't know. Is there a lot of other things happening in the world, like a World War III on the table and close? Are countries going to civil war, civil unrest? Is the love of many growing cold? Is evil arising? Is there corruption in all governments? I think you can make a case for all of these things happening. They're all rising to a peak. They're all increasing in frequency and intensity. And folks, we are near. So we would also expect that the third temple, maybe the sacrifices being brought into the picture, would also be near. And the countdown is on at this point in time. So folks, this is a very fascinating situation that we're seeing going on here. And indeed, could it be that the Temple Mount and the third temple, rather, is going to be rebuilt soon? Well, I believe if it is, and I have this high watch period there as well, but I believe that Isaiah 17 has to occur, the destruction of Damascus, and boy, they're getting close to that. And how about Gog-Magog, the war of Ezekiel 38, where Gog and the land of Magog come down? Many believe Russia and allied nations, including Persia, Iran, march on Israel, maybe because of the Gaza invasion, maybe because they're hitting Hezbollah to the north, maybe because Hezbollah and Hamas is overwhelmed, and Iran says, that's it, we're going in. Did you know that Israel is striking Iran right now in deep inside territory, in hitting civilian infrastructure? There's news of that, actually. So incredible stuff happening in the Middle East, around the world. There's war around the world, and many others are ripe and ready to kick off. And so that's why you need to be ready. We don't know when this is going to kick off. But 2023 looked bad, and I keep saying, 2024 is going to be worse than 2023, and it appears to be turning out to be exactly that. So, folks, be prepared. Look up, for your redemption draws nigh. Hard times are coming. Keep the faith. Grow in the faith, because ultimately at some point we will only have our faith. So, thanks for watching. I'll leave there. We'll see you in the next video.